Most gardeners think winter means the end of beauty in their yards. But here's the truth that might surprise you. Some of the most stunning flowers I've ever grown bloom when ice covers the ground and frost bites the air. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share 9 incredible plants that don't just survive winter, they absolutely shine in it. Plants that keep your garden alive, vibrant, and absolutely gorgeous when everything around you looks gray and dead. I'm William Scott from Golden Age Gardening, and if you love creating beautiful outdoor spaces no matter the season, please hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the notification bell too, because every single week I share practical tips, care instructions, and seasonal guides that will transform your garden. Let's grow something beautiful together. Plant science behind winter bloomers. 1 to 2 minutes. Before we explore these 9 amazing plants, let's understand what makes them so special. You see, there's a big difference between what gardeners call annuals and perennials. Annuals are like the flashy performers of the garden world. They appear quickly, create an explosion of color, and then disappear when the season changes. Perennials are totally different. They're the strong, steady heroes of your garden. They come back year after year, getting stronger and deeper rooted every single time. When winter arrives and the ground freezes solid, something remarkable happens underground. The roots of these perennial plants stay alive, tucked safely below the frost line. They're resting, storing energy, getting ready for their comeback. Some of these hardy perennials have actually developed their own natural protection against freezing temperatures. Their cells produce special sugars and proteins that prevent ice crystals from forming inside the plant tissue. It's nature's built-in antifreeze system. Pretty amazing, right? But here's the real secret that makes these plants thrive through the coldest months. Drainage. This is so important. Cold and wet soil together can kill your plants faster than anything else. The roots need moisture, that's true, but they absolutely cannot sit in puddles or soggy soil. You need soil that drains well. A good draining soil mix keeps the ground from freezing into a hard block that suffocates the plant's roots. This is the difference between plants that die and plants that flourish. Mulch is your second secret weapon. A light layer of bark chips or fallen leaves keeps the soil temperature from swinging too wildly. It protects the roots from damage and creates a cozy environment for the beneficial tiny organisms that help plants grow. So when you see a hellebore pushing through frost or a snowdrop rising out of ice, remember, that's not luck or magic, that's science. That's patience. That's plant wisdom at work. By the way, I'd really love to know what gardening zone you're in. Drop that in the comment section below. It helps me create videos that are specific to your climate and growing conditions. This feedback truly helps me make better content for you. Soil preparation and basic care tips. Before we meet each plant individually, let me share some basics that work for all of them. Most winter bloomers love soil that's rich with organic matter. When you're preparing your beds in autumn, mix in compost, leaf mold, or aged bark. This gives the plants what they need to establish strong root systems before the cold arrives. If you miss that window, spring planting works too, but you might not get blooms until the following winter. Water management is critical. In autumn, water deeply before the first frost arrives. This ensures the soil around the roots stays hydrated throughout the winter months. Once the ground freezes, regular watering stops, but that initial deep watering makes an enormous difference. Light conditions vary by plant, but most winter bloomers do best with some combination of sun and shade. Morning sun is usually beneficial. Afternoon shade in very cold regions protects delicate flowers from temperature swings. Harsh, strong winds can damage blooms, so position plants where they're somewhat sheltered.
Plant 1. The Hellebore, or Christmas rose. Let me introduce you to one of my absolute favorite winter plants, the Hellebore, commonly called the Christmas rose. This plant is the true definition of quiet strength and determination. When everything else in your garden has withered and faded away, the Hellebore steps forward. It pushes through snow and frost with its soft, gorgeous petals and deep green leaves that stay beautiful all year long. The Hellebore is often one of the first plants to bloom when winter feels endless. Sometimes you'll see blooms as early as late December. When your garden feels completely colorless, suddenly there's this beautiful spark of hope. That's what Hellebores deliver. They bloom in pink, cream, deep purple and pure white. Some varieties have spotted or speckled petals that look almost hand-painted. These plants do well in USDA zones 4 through 9. They don't just survive cold temperatures, they seem to actually enjoy them. Their leathery, evergreen leaves stay intact and beautiful, even when temperatures drop well below freezing. The foliage looks good in spring, summer, and fall too, so you get year-round visual interest. Hellebores prefer partial shade, especially underneath tall trees or beside evergreen shrubs where they get filtered sunlight throughout the day. They don't like intense afternoon sun in warm regions. The soil should be rich, moist, and very well drained. Think about the soft, dark earth beneath big trees in a forest. That's the kind of environment hellebores love. When you plant them, add compost or organic matter to make them feel right at home. Care is surprisingly simple once they're established. In late winter, before new buds open, trim away the oldest leaves so fresh blooms can shine through. After that, add mulch around the base to keep roots insulated and moisture levels consistent. Want to make them even more dramatic? Pair hellebores with snowdrops or delicate ferns. The combination of white snowdrops next to deep pink or cream hellebore blooms creates something really breathtaking. It's like nature's own contrast. There's a saying among gardeners in Vermont, when the hellebore blooms, spring whispers through the snow. And that saying has truth in it. These flowers give you that gentle promise that warmer, brighter days are coming. If you've never grown hellebores before, now is your sign. They're not just hardy plants, they're loyal companions. Once they establish themselves in your garden, they'll reward you with beautiful blooms every single winter for years and years to come. Share your hellebore photos in the comments. I love seeing how they thrive in your gardens. Plant 2, witch hazel or Camellias. Next, let's talk about a plant that looks straight out of a fantasy story. The witch hazel, scientifically known as Camellias, defies the season in the most incredible way. When most tree branches stand completely bare and lifeless, witch hazel explodes with color. Its unique spidery blooms come in shades of yellow, orange, or even deep red. These flowers curl and twist like tiny ribbons against the cold winter air. But here's the truly magical part: the fragrance. On a quiet, crisp winter morning, you can catch a sweet, spicy scent floating through the garden long before you even see the flowers themselves. Neighbors will ask what smells so wonderful. It's absolutely one of the best winter scents you'll ever experience in a garden. Witch hazel thrives in USDA zones 3 through 9, which means it's incredibly adaptable. It's one of the few shrubs that can succeed beautifully in both cold northern gardens and milder southern regions. It usually starts blooming from late January and continues through March, depending on your specific climate. During these months, it paints color across gray landscapes exactly when you need it most. For lightened soil conditions, witch hazel loves full sun to partial shade. It performs best in well-drained soil that leans slightly acidic and is rich with organic matter. The key is finding balance. Too much shade and it won't produce flowers as freely. Too much dry soil and the leaves get crispy and brown by summer. If you can find a spot with morning sun and afternoon shade, you'll get an amazing display of blooms every single winter. This shrub is refreshingly low maintenance once it's settled in. After it's had a year or two to settle in, it rarely needs special attention beyond basic care. Just add mulch around the base each fall to hold moisture and protect the roots from freeze-thaw cycles that can damage them. Pruning should be done lightly and only after the flowers fade, mainly to shape the plant or remove branches that cross over each other. Avoid heavy pruning because that can reduce next year's flower production. Witch hazel pairs beautifully with evergreens, ornamental grasses, and hellebores. The contrast of its fiery winter flowers against the deep greens of evergreen plants is really striking. When you combine it with hellebores blooming below, you create a layered winter display that's full of color and interesting texture. If you're growing witch hazel, please subscribe and share a video of it in bloom. I'd love to feature your garden in a future video.
Plant 3. Snowdrops, Galanthus. Now, let's talk about a flower that captures the very essence of winter's quiet beauty, the snowdrop, scientifically known as Galanthus. Few sights are quite as enchanting as the first snowdrops of the season, tiny white bells that nod gently through melting snow. They might be small, but their arrival feels absolutely monumental. When snowdrops appear, you know spring isn't far behind. They symbolize hope, renewal, and resilience. They're nature's promise that life always returns, no matter how harsh and cold the season gets. Snowdrops thrive in USDA zones 3 to 8, which means they can handle some of the coldest climates on the continent. They bloom from late January through early March, often pushing right through the last layers of frost with pure white petals that hang like delicate pearls. These dainty little bulbs love partial shade to full sun, especially beneath trees that have lost their leaves. Winter light filters through bare branches and creates the perfect conditions. Their favorite soil is moist, rich with humus, and very well drained. Imagine the kind of soil you'd find on a forest floor after autumn leaves have broken down and started turning into soil. That's exactly what snowdrops want. Once snowdrops are settled in your garden, they're easygoing and easy to manage. They naturalize beautifully, meaning they'll spread and multiply over time, eventually forming large carpets of white blooms, without requiring much help from you. Caring for them is delightfully simple. After they finish blooming, leave the green foliage in place until it fades naturally. This allows the bulb underground to store up energy for next year's display. You can add a light layer of mulch to keep soil temperature steady, but avoid heavy coverings. These plants actually like to feel that cold air brushing the surface. In garden design, snowdrops are perfect companions for winter aconites, hellebores, and early crocuses. Together, they create a charming late winter palette of white, gold, and soft pink weaving through patches of snow. The contrast of these colors against white snow is absolutely beautiful. There's a lovely story from gardeners in the English countryside who say, when the snowdrop bows its head, it's not from weakness, it's from grace. And truly, that's what these little flowers represent: quiet strength and timeless elegance. If you're looking for an effortless way to bring life back to your garden after months of gray and snow, snowdrops are an absolute must-have. They're simple to plant, endlessly rewarding, and a gentle reminder that even in winter, beauty always finds its way back. Plant 4. Winter Aconite, Aranthus hyamelis. Let's brighten up the winter garden with a burst of sunshine and warmth. Meet the winter aconite, or Aranthus hyamelis. When the world outside feels pale and quiet, this little flower arrives like a warm smile on the snow. Its golden yellow petals open wide on the coldest days, glowing like drops of sunlight scattered across the garden floor. You'll often find them blooming through late January and February, right when we all start craving color the most. Winter aconites thrive in USDA zones 3 through 7, which means they flourish in chilly regions where frost is common. They're early bloomers, some of the very first flowers to wake up after the darkest part of winter. They often appear right alongside snowdrops, creating a beautiful combination. These cheerful perennials prefer partial shade to full sun, especially in areas that are protected from harsh, damaging winds. The ideal soil is moist, well-drained, and rich with organic matter, similar to woodland or meadow floor conditions. Think of the soft, leaf-covered earth beneath big trees. That's their comfort zone. If your soil is heavy clay, add some sand and compost to help create better drainage, which these plants really love. For stunning visual harmony, pair winter aconites with snowdrops, crocuses, or early hellebores. The combination of gold, white, and soft pink can transform even the dullest corner of a garden into a scene of early spring joy. These flowers don't just bring color to your garden, they bring hope and optimism right when you need it most.
Plant 5. Winter Heather, or Erica carnea. Moving from golden ground covers to shades of pink and purple, let's meet one of the most reliable performers of the cold season, Winter Heather, or Erica carnea. When most plants retreat into dormancy and go to sleep, heather is just getting started. Its needle-like foliage stays evergreen year-round, and its tiny bell-shaped blooms turn snowy landscapes into a canvas of color. From soft lilac and rose pink to bright magenta, it's one of those plants that gives your garden a pulse when everything else lies still and silent. Winter heather thrives in USDA zones 4 through 7. You'll start seeing blooms from December all the way through April, depending on your climate. That's 4 solid months of steady color. An impressive show for such a modest, compact plant. Heather loves full sun and soil that's well-drained, slightly acidic, and sandy. Heavy clay soils can cause root rot and kill the plant, so if your garden has that type of soil, amend it with peat moss, sand, or pine bark to improve the texture and acidity.
Once you get the balance right, heather rewards you with strong growth and vibrant blooms every winter. Caring for heather is refreshingly simple. After the flowering period ends, give it a light trim to maintain its shape and encourage new growth. Avoid cutting into old woody stems. Stick to the green parts. A light layer of mulch or pine needles around the base helps retain moisture and keeps the roots insulated through cold spells. For pairing, heather is one of the most versatile winter plants you can grow. It looks stunning alongside dwarf conifers, hellebores, or ornamental grasses. Try planting it in drifts or borders where its colors can cascade naturally. It's also excellent in rock gardens or large pots, adding both texture and vibrancy to patios or entrances during the dull months. Gardeners in Scotland often say, "Where heather grows, the heart feels at home." And maybe that's because this plant carries such warmth even in the coldest seasons. If you want color that lasts through winter and beyond, heather is a must-have. It's resilient, low maintenance, and one of the best ways to keep your garden alive with charm when everything else fades away. Drop a comment if you've grown heather before. I'd love to hear about your experience with it. Plant 6. Pansies and violas. No list of winter bloomers would be complete without the cheerful faces of pansies and violas. These flowers are the soul of winter color, small but absolutely unmissable, bold yet delicate. They bloom when the air is crisp, filling containers, borders, and window boxes with colors that seem hand-painted. Deep purples, buttery yellows, snowy whites, and even rich burgundies that gleam under frost. Pansies and violas thrive in USDA zones 6 through 10. They actually perform best in regions with cool, mild winters. In fact, they prefer the cold. When summer heat fades away, these little gems take the stage and stay bright through early spring. They often bounce right back after a frost like nothing happened. Their bloom period stretches from late fall right through early spring, giving you months of non-stop joy and color. These flowers adore full sun to partial shade, and they're happiest in fertile, well-drained soil that's kept consistently moist but never soggy. Mix in some compost before planting to help the roots establish themselves well. Water gently during dry spells, especially if you grow them in pots where they dry out faster. Caring for them couldn't be easier. Simply remove faded blooms with a quick pinch here and there to encourage continuous flowering. This little act keeps them vibrant and full of life. If you live where winters dip below freezing, a light layer of mulch around their roots helps protect them from sharp temperature swings that can damage them. Pansies and violas pair beautifully with ornamental cabbages, dusty miller, or dwarf evergreens, adding layers of color and contrast. In containers, they shine alongside ivy or creeping thyme, trailing gracefully over the edges. They're versatile enough to fit any gardening style, from cottage gardens to city balconies. There's an old saying among English gardeners, "A winter without pansies is a garden without laughter." And it's absolutely true. Their cheerful faces have a way of lifting moods even on the grayest of days. If you're new to winter gardening or just want instant color without waiting, start with pansies and violas. They'll bloom their hearts out for you, proving that beauty doesn't need warm weather to shine.
If you love pansies as much as I do, please like this video and share it with other gardeners. Plant 7. Camellia, Camellia japonica. No list of winter bloomers would be complete without the elegance and grace of the camellia. Scientifically known as Camellia japonica, the camellia is often called the queen of winter blooms. And once you've seen it in person, you'll completely understand why that reputation is so well-deserved. Imagine glossy, deep green leaves holding up perfect rose-like blossoms in shades of blush pink, ruby red, or pure white, sometimes even streaked like a watercolor painting. On cold mornings, when frost clings to every petal, a camellia looks like it's wearing jewels. Camellias are best suited for regions with mild winters and cool, damp springs, so they thrive in USDA zones 7 through 9. Their bloom time usually stretches from late fall into early spring, depending on the variety. Some even begin flowering as early as November, keeping the show going well into March. These beauties prefer partial shade, ideally spots protected from harsh afternoon sun and strong winds. Think dappled light beneath tall trees or along the north side of a house. That's the perfect location. The soil should be slightly acidic, rich in organic matter, and consistently moist, but never waterlogged. If your soil leans alkaline, mix in peat moss or pine needles to keep your camellias happy. When it comes to care, camellias appreciate a little consistency. Water deeply before the first frost arrives so the roots stay hydrated through winter. Add a thick layer of mulch, about 2 to 3 inches, to regulate soil temperature and keep moisture levels even. Avoid pruning in late summer or fall because that's when the buds for winter blooms are forming. A light trim after flowering will help shape the shrub without sacrificing next season's display. Camellias pair wonderfully with ferns, azaleas, or hostas, creating a lush, layered look that feels elegant and natural. Their evergreen foliage also makes them an excellent backdrop for smaller perennials, like Hellebores or Cyclamen. Gardeners in the American South have a saying, "When the camellia blooms, winter doesn't feel so long." And that's exactly what it does. It bridges the gap between the quiet of winter and the awakening of spring. If you're after a plant that combines beauty, structure, and reliability, the camellia is your answer. It's refined but tough, classic yet easy to grow, and once it starts blooming, you'll find yourself waiting eagerly for it every winter. Plant 8. Cyclamen, or hardy cyclamen. Let's meet a small but absolutely unforgettable star of the winter garden, the cyclamen, or hardy cyclamen. At first glance, cyclamen might look too delicate to survive winter, but beneath those heart-shaped leaves and slender stems lies one of the toughest little plants you'll ever grow. While many flowers hide away from the cold, cyclamen steps forward, blooming boldly through late winter with its signature magenta, rose, or white blossoms. Each flower seems to hover above the soil like a tiny butterfly with its petals swept backward. Elegant, whimsical, and full of charm. And those leaves, marbled with silver and green patterns, remain beautiful long after the blooms fade, giving your winter beds texture and color when they need it most. Hardy cyclamen thrives in USDA zones 4 through 8, flourishing in cooler climates where frost is common but the ground doesn't freeze solid for long periods. The bloom period usually runs from January through March, bringing joy right when the garden feels quietest. This plant loves partial to full shade, especially beneath deciduous trees or in sheltered corners where the soil stays well-drained, slightly alkaline to neutral, and rich in organic matter. Cyclamen grows from small tubers that prefer being planted just below the surface. Too deep, and they'll struggle to emerge and grow. If you garden in heavy soil, mix in leaf mold, grit, or fine bark chips to help with drainage. Care is minimal, which makes cyclamen perfect for busy gardeners or anyone new to growing plants. Once planted, let nature do the rest. It doesn't like too much water, so keep the soil lightly moist but never soggy. During dry winters, a gentle watering once in a while is all it needs. Mulching lightly with leaves in late autumn helps insulate the tubers and mimic their natural forest floor habitat. Cyclamen pairs beautifully with ferns, snowdrops, and hellebores, plants that share its love of cool shade. Together, they create a calm, sophisticated look that feels like a woodland in bloom even in the middle of winter. If you want a plant that brings magic to shaded spots and rewards neglect with beauty, cyclamen is a true gem. It's proof that strength doesn't always roar, sometimes it blooms silently in the cold. Plant 9. Japanese Pieris, or Pieris japonica, the lily of the valley shrub. This plant is elegance personified. In late winter, its glossy leaves frame cascading clusters of delicate bell-shaped flowers in pure white, sometimes blushed with pink, that hang like tiny lanterns. Long before spring arrives, they bring light and texture to any garden corner. Japanese Pieris thrives in USDA zones 5 through 8 and performs wonderfully in cool, temperate climates. Its bloom time stretches from late winter to mid-spring, depending on your region. The shrub itself remains evergreen year-round, providing both structure and color when most plants have disappeared.
It prefers partial shade, the kind of gentle light you'd find beneath tall trees or beside the north side of a house. Its soil should be acidic, moist, and well-drained, rich in organic matter like decomposed leaves or pine bark. Avoid planting in heavy clay or alkaline soil. It loves that woodland softness. For care, this shrub is low maintenance yet incredibly rewarding. Mulch every fall with pine needles or leaf mold to keep the roots cool and preserve moisture levels. After flowering, lightly prune the spent clusters to encourage new growth and shape the plant naturally. It's also a slow grower, so patience is key, but once established, it becomes a real showpiece in your garden. Japanese Pieris pairs beautifully with azaleas, camellias, and ferns, creating layers of texture and varying shades of green that stay lush through the coldest months. It's also wonderful near walkways or entrances where its dangling white blooms can be admired up close on cold winter days.
Designing your complete winter garden. Now that we've met all 9 of our hardy winter bloomers, let's talk about how to bring them together into a living, breathing winter garden. Designing for the cold season isn't about filling every space with flowers. It's about layering textures, colors, and shapes so the garden still feels alive even when temperatures drop significantly. Start with structure. Shrubs like witch hazel, camellia, and Japanese Pieris act as your anchor plants. They're tall, evergreen, and full of character. They give height and form to your winter landscape. Around them, weave in Hellebores, heather, and Cyclamen for mid-level color and lush greenery. Then finish with a carpet of snowdrops and winter aconites, whose low blooms create warmth against the snow. For smaller spaces or patios, think in containers. A large pot with pansies, heather, and dwarf evergreens makes a beautiful focal point near a door or balcony. Use textured pots in stone, terracotta, or nettle to reflect the natural tones of winter. If you want your garden to stay visually interesting, focus on contrast. Pair bright flowers against dark foliage. Let pink camellias stand beside deep green Pieris leaves, or scatter yellow aconites through patches of snowdrops for a soft golden glow. Don't forget about scent either. Witch hazel and Camellia sasanqua varieties release gentle fragrance on the cold air. Position them near paths or windows where you can enjoy their perfume on winter mornings. Finally, lighting makes all the difference. A few warm garden lights near evergreen shrubs or along pathways will make those blooms shimmer at dusk. It transforms your winter garden from quiet to magical. The goal is simple. Create a space that feels alive year-round, a garden that reminds you that beauty doesn't hibernate, it simply changes its form. Final thoughts. So there you have it, 9 hardy perennials that bloom beautifully even when winter bites the hardest. Each of these plants, from the resilient Hellebore to the elegant Camellia, the fiery witch hazel, and the cheerful pansy, proves that cold weather isn't the end of color. It's the beginning of a new kind of beauty. You don't need tropical heat to grow life. You just need the right plants and a little care. Planning your winter garden doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. Start with 1 or 2 of these plants and watch your garden transform. Let me know in the comments which of these flowers caught your eye. Do you already grow any of them, or is there one you'd love to try this year? I read every single comment and love hearing how your gardens evolve through the seasons. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps more garden lovers discover these tips. Don't forget to subscribe to Golden Age Gardening and tap the notification bell so you never miss future videos on seasonal blooms, plant care, and garden design ideas. Share this video with other gardeners in your life who would love to learn about winter blooming plants. Remember, even when the frost settles and the days are short, your garden can still be a place of color, fragrance, and peace. These hardy perennials don't just survive the cold, they celebrate it. Until next time, keep growing, keep nurturing, and let your garden remind you that beauty never sleeps. It simply blooms differently in winter. Thanks for watching Golden Age Gardening with me, William Scott. I'll see you in the next video.